I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars. Behind me there is the new Toyota EPU concept electric pickup truck. Now this vehicle might be a concept, but it's in a state which looks ready to put into production at short notice. This thing is almost a finished vehicle. As for its specifications, what runs under the skin, how big its battery is, and how long its driving range is, those are specifications Toyota hasn't released yet. But I'm going to make an educated guess in today's video about the mechanical components being used by the EPU. We're going to take a walk around of this groundbreaking Toyota electric ute, and we're going to discuss when and how we could see it come to the market globally and also in Australia, where I think this vehicle has a really decent chance. But before we get started, hit subscribe below. The Tokyo Motor Show, where I'm talking to you from now, often has something of a retro vibe, hence the rather 80s microphone situation here. But there's nothing retro about the EPU. This is a bang up to date idea from Toyota, who obviously recognize that they don't want to let the likes of Rivian and also Tesla run away with the fully electric pickup truck market. Instead, the EPU is a clear intention to release a production mid-size electric pickup truck on the market globally and in Australia in the coming years. So what are the specifications likely to be for this vehicle? What I can tell you definitively is the size of the EPU. This vehicle is a little bit smaller than a Hilux, not by a massive amount. It's still over 5 meters in length. The big dimensional difference to something like a Hilux is that the wheelbase is very long on the EPU, over 3 meters, which is considerably longer than that of a Hilux. And of course, that's because the EPU is a fully electric vehicle. It's a dedicated EV on a dedicated EV platform. It's not like that electric Hilux prototype that we drove together the other week, which is very much an adapted body-on-frame platform. So the size of the vehicle, over 5 meters, it's a little bit wider than a Hilux. It's also a little bit lower than a Hilux, even though it is a dual-motor, all-wheel drive vehicle. Now, coming around here to the rear wheels and tires, this one's been outfitted with beefy Toyo Open Country all-terrain tires here, and large wheels that are measuring in at 20 inches in size, but you're still getting a good amount of sidewall on the tire as well. Now, dual motor all-wheel drive is standard, so of course this vehicle is effectively four-wheel drive. We don't know anything about the motors front or rear.
Under the skin, the EPU is actually based on Toyota's TNGA L monocoque architecture, also shared with the Lexus LC, LS and the Toyota Mirai hydrogen vehicle. It's a multi-powertrain, multi-pathway system, but I think it will still interlink nicely with Toyota's next-gen EV batteries that promise long cruising range and 800-volt charging architecture.
In terms of battery size, well, with that enormous wheelbase, you could fit a really big battery in this vehicle. But Toyota is saying the gap in the market is for a mid-size pickup that isn't too massive or too heavy. So I reckon something around a 100 kilowatt hour battery would be most likely. What does that mean for range? Probably about 500 kilometers unladen. Of course, the towing range would be a lot lower than that. So this is the interior of the EPU, another element that shows us this car is not the usual crazy motor show concept car that we normally see. This is something which is much closer to production. Now, it does have a yoke steering wheel, but Toyota is putting yoke steering wheels in its late stage prototypes already. We tested an RZ back in Australia with a yoke wheel last year, and it actually worked okay. It's a little bit different to the way Tesla does their yoke steering, but anyway. Throughout the rest of this cabin, we do have some sustainable materials which we may not see in full extent in a production version, but the technology package looks very realistic for me. 2 big digital displays, we've got a shifter up here, a bit like a Porsche Taycan on the dash, a physical panel, and then we've got our air vents. Can't see any physical climate controls, but loads of storage space, a flat floor. Of course, this is a full EV. Some really nice materials and colors being used in the interior of the EPU. What you can certainly say about it is it's a world away from something like a Hilux.
So being realistic now, how close is the EPU to actually going into production? Well, it certainly looks like the design here could be almost finished, but in reality, there's a lot of development work still to be done under the skin. A chief engineer has been appointed to the EPU program. He's actually shared with the Land Cruiser SE, and serious engineering work only began about 6 months ago. So there's at least a few more years left, and that would be a really fast development program for Toyota. That being said, I think this company is now starting to realize that the ground is shifting on BEVs. They don't want to let the likes of Rivian run away with this mid-size electric pickup market. So I'd be shocked if we didn't see this vehicle pushed forward. That being said, Toyota has several irons in the fire when it comes to electric commercial vehicles at the moment. We did test drive that Hilux BEV prototype. This is a different angle, and then of course we would expect to see something bigger again in future, perhaps developed by Toyota's American arm. That being said, I would expect this vehicle to get Australian input. Hiluxes are so important in our market, and the EPU would be a very important addition, but definitely not a replacement for the Hilux. Anyway, what do you think of the EPU? Would you buy one of these? Would you like it if Toyota pushed this into production? Let me know down below this video. While you're there, hit subscribe if you've enjoyed this one. Leave me a comment, and as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.